As a person who has always struggled to find the right eyebrow products and to do her eyebrows in general, it is my duty to present to you all the eyebrow products that I've ever tried and why some of them were just bad for me. Hi fairies! Welcome back to my channel. I am eca.fairy and in this video we are talking about all the eyebrow products that I have ever tried, why I wasted my money on most of them because I need a specific type of eyebrow product that I only discovered years later. You might be in the same situation. Let's get into it. We are going to start chronologically with the classic, with the most affordable and probably the first product that you ever purchase when you go on to get into makeup, which is a basic eyebrow pencil. I had this one from Essence multiple times. I probably bought this over 5 times because at some point when it got really short I had a really hard time drawing with it, holding it in my hand. It was so not precise at all, and the shorter that it got, the harder time I had to control it. If you have normal brows that don't necessarily need a lot of reshaping, that you like the shape of and you just want to fill in just a little bit here and there, this product will do its job quite okay. The shade was good for me. The brush thing that comes on cap of the pencil is totally useless. Every time I used it, I just felt like the brows were getting blurry, and not in the good way, but in the I smudged my eyebrow makeup way. I've always had beef with my eyebrows, with their shape, with the product that I tried to use, so it's no surprise that the first product ever that I picked up was not a match for me. However, as I was saying, for different types of brows, this product is okay and extremely affordable, so if you're just getting into makeup or see no point in making a big purchase at once, just get it I guess, but it was not for me. And if you want precision, a pencil in general will not give you that. No matter how sharp you think you sharpened it, don't. Then of course, because it was 2017 by that point, I had to try eyebrow powder. I remember distinctively watching this video in which they were recommending each type of eyebrow product and for what kind of look to use it, and I knew that I wanted something that was precise but still kind of natural because I wasn't really doing my makeup. In general, I wasn't doing intense eye makeup, so having really bold eyebrows on an empty face made no sense to me at that point. And also, as I keep saying, I'm very bad at doing my brows, so I need something that's foolproof in that sense, and I thought that the eyebrow powder, I had this recommended to me by some people that I love the way their brows looked, so I thought, perfect, this is going to get me pretty brows. It did not. It gave me cakey brows. But the issue that I actually had with this that I did not know back then, and by the way I had this specific one from Essence, again the product is good, however it was not addressing my needs, was the fact that by that point I was already plucking my brows a lot, especially in this side, because I didn't like the way the arch went really low. Like naturally I have really arched eyebrows and I hate them, and even now they are a bit more arched than I would like, but that's just the way they kind of ended up in the last few weeks, and I didn't want to trim them a lot. This is my ideal eyebrow, this is the ideal shape, and if my eyebrows look like this, then I'm having a good day. If my eyebrows look too arched, I'm having a bad day automatically, like for example with this eyebrow day, not happy with it. Anyways, back to the brow powder. So I know that I used to apply the lighter shade in the first half of the brow and then the darker shade in the second half of the brow as you were supposed to. It wasn't bad necessarily, but I really needed definition. The issue that my eyebrows had was not volume or whatever or extra hairs, it was a literal tail, and I didn't have any idea how to pluck my eyebrows or to shape them back then. I'm not sure I even do now. I am constantly happy with the way my eyebrows look, so I will assume that I do by this point. However, what I'm trying to say is I was really bad at shaping my eyebrows, so I needed something to create like a soft, sharp tail. In the end, the powder did not. I tried using stencils because back then this set came with different eyebrow stencils, and I looked like I had dirt on my face. I looked bad in general. I don't think I even have pictures of that, so the brow powder was definitely not the choice for me. It was probably one of the biggest failures from my eyebrow journey in general because it was combining a really bad block overall and then just a product that made no sense. And I had this brush that I think I still have. The brush that it came with was totally useless, and I bought a separate brush just for eyebrows, and that one made things a bit better in the sense that I was able to apply the powder, but a bit worse because it was kind of thick, and I insisted on drawing a tail like I was seeing my favorite YouTubers do. But what I didn't comprehend was the fact that you cannot draw a sharp tail with a thick brush filled with powder. But enough about this because then I decided to obviously get what everybody else was using, and instead of making like a huge purchase and getting the Anastasia Beverly Hills brow pomade, which I'm honestly thankful for now because I really wanted it. However, I just couldn't justify the price. By the way, I was, I think, in high school by this point, and it made no sense financially for me to spend that much on an eyebrow product when I had no idea how to do my brows in general. Naturally, I did what any NYX lover would do, because back then, even though most of my makeup came from them and it was really like extremely affordable store makeup, I did get into NYX pretty fast. I think it was my first professional brand that I've ever used, and I know that I like their products a lot, so I decided to get this pomade, whatever. Don't get me wrong, I think that the product is okay, and I just think that I had no idea how to use it, and I think I still would have no idea how to use this. I followed tutorials on how to do your brows using pomade, whatever. It just, something wasn't clicking, because what I used to do, and here in this picture you can really see I was following all the steps, outlining them too much. Like the outline that I was drawing with the product was too high or too low, and it was creating this boxy and weird brows. Because in this eyebrow trend you were supposed to have blockier eyebrows, really defined brows, but they were just not looking good on my face because I still had a lot of natural eyebrows showing, so it didn't even look like I had the Sharpie brows. It just looked bad overall, and I remember that I liked them back then because that was the norm. However, a few months after, I know that I started seeing like, yeah, maybe that's not how this is supposed to look. However, I remember really trying hard to use up the product because it was still, as I was saying, if you know how to use it and you can actually draw individual hair, and you need to draw individual hairlines, you will be able to. The thing is, I didn't even have a proper brush to do that with. I had an eyeliner brush that I kept, I think it was wetting with primer or some sort of setting spray or something, because the product was really dry, cakey, and impossible to apply, and I saw people on YouTube doing that. And then I would also alternatively fill in my brows with this brush, which is the brush that I was telling you about earlier. I also used it to apply the powder, and for the powder it made more sense. As you can see, this is thick, this is not precise at all, and I was using this. Also from NYX, a product that I think is good if you know how to use it and if it answers to your eyebrow needs, is this NYX Fill and Fluff Eyebrow Pomade, Pencil, Pomade, whatever. I think this was one of the worst eyebrow eras when I was using this product. Again, not because of the product, because of the way that I was using it, because this has sort of a triangular shape. The tip is not a normal pencil as you would expect, and when I decided to order this, I saw that it was supposed to give you this natural eyebrow look, and by this point fluffier brows were coming in, you know. The really perfectly defined eyebrow was not so trendy anymore. The really thick eyebrow was still trendy, and by this point people were doing that really like fluffed up brow where they would just feather the feathered brow, whatever that trend was. I have never understood that trend. I really hope it's not a thing anymore, because from all the atrocious brow trends that we've ever had, I'm sorry, but I hated that one the most. It was the ugliest thing ever, and it didn't look good on anybody. You get the slightly feathered up, like the one where you would really brush up the hairs, but then you would set them back in place so they would just be upward but not feathered up completely. That I can get behind. However, anything else beyond that point was just ugly, and I hope it never comes back. And I'm sorry if you liked it or if you like the way it looked on you. This is just my personal opinion. At the same time, I did want to be trendy and to have fuller brows, you know, thicker brows, more intense looks with my brows, and that's why I thought for some reason that this was going to help. The brush of this pencil is actually good, but the way that I was using it was flawed altogether. I also think that I was applying too much product, honestly, because what happened next was the best thing that ever happened to my brows. My favorite brow product that I had been gatekeeping at that moment because it was so good, and unfortunately it's discontinued. It's this one by Kat Von D. It's the signature brow pencil. This had a literal tip of a needle. It was extremely sharp. We were actually truly able to fake hairs with it, like draw individual hairs without it smudging around. What I liked to do was draw an end, so a really sharp end to my brow, and then kind of still contour them because I still like that look even now. That's what I do when I fill in my brows. Helped me finally get some confidence in my eyebrows. This was perfection. I don't even know how I decided to buy it, but I do remember buying it, and I remember it changing my life. The tip was so dry, and at first it was almost impossible to use. Like, I thought the product was broken, but no, it was just extremely precise and it applied very little product. And when they ended, I had no idea that my good brow moments would also come to a halt for a while. After that, I have all the products that I've tried so far. However, it's just one item of each. I bought this multiple times, and also the Benefit ones multiple times. But first of all, this one, this is the Brow Blade by Urban Decay, and it has a double tip, so a waterproof pencil. And this one was actually a bit similar to the Kat Von D one. However, this one was definitely thicker and softer, so it would apply not so precise movements, I think. And what I loved about it was the ink, oh god, was the ink stain. Maybe this still kind of works actually. Maybe I should actually finish this, like use it up. However, it's not so precise anymore because I use this a lot and I love this product, and honestly I have no idea why I haven't repurchased it ever since. However, I did start using the Benefit pencils, so however, when I actually finished every brow product, I might repurchase this one. Or I also know that NYX has an ink stain for your brows, and I think besides the Kat Von D pencil, an ink stain is my favorite thing to do my brows with because it actually stays in place, it doesn't smudge, it doesn't rub, and I know it doesn't offer such a natural look because I use pretty light colors for my eyebrows. It's not exactly too blocky in my opinion, and I just love the way the precise tail looks. Basically, being two products in one, it was a really good and justified product. I'm actually going to look it up right now to see. This is still a thing, so it's called the Brow Blade. It's not on Sephora anymore, it's only on some random website and also on the Urban Decay website. So hey, at least it's not totally discontinued. Urban Decay is not available in Sephora anymore at all, at least in Europe or Romania, I'm not sure. Urban Decay has the all-nighter, the setting spray, and so many other really great products. So why isn't it available anymore? Like, what's going on? Why are we eliminating the true OGs and the true staples of makeup and just replacing them with the same repetitive, bland, and so not interesting brands? I don't understand. Disappointing, honestly. Like, what's happening right now with the makeup trends and in the makeup scene, to me, is just wasted potential for everybody. Moving on, by this point, I first bought a set of the brow pencil by Benefit, and I also had the brow mascara thing. Honestly, I'm not sure how this is called because the writing on it is always erasing. Like, by the way, I really love Benefit. I have a lot of products from Benefit and their packaging is really great and pretty. However, one beef that I have with it is the fact that for each of these ones, the writing just disappears so fast, and I think that's so unaesthetic, and just like, I'm paying so much for this, please make the packaging normal. But as I was using this, I realized that it was kind of pricey for me to use every single day, so I found something that was a bit similar, but in my head it made sense to kind of save up a little, and it's this product. This is the Skinny Definer Brow Artist by L'Oreal, and I am actually thinking of purchasing this again. Now, the beef that I had with this and I actually stopped using it is because I had a shade that was way too dark for me. So this is 105 brunette, and I would probably need something like 103 in order for my brows to not have two different colors, literally. Like, one of the reasons that I stopped using this. Also, this is kind of half of the price of this. However, I would say it's not necessarily half of the quality. This is great, however, it's a bit different. I feel like is way thinner than this one, and maybe I'll do a comparison one time, like just a video in which we compare them, because I feel like this is way too much to unpack and explain right now. However, my point, I think I'm actually going to try and repurchase this when I run out of all the brow pencils that I have, because it makes a lot of sense, also financially, but also for the quality. The only beef that I had with this is the fact that it's not necessarily long lasting. So besides the color choice, which I used to also have lighter ones when I started using it, and then I think I couldn't find one light enough, so I just got the brunette one. Anyways, this smudges pretty easily. The tail of my brow, that is always fake by the way, does not stay in place, so this isn't necessarily the best choice. Which brings me to my favorites, to the only ones that I can actually trust to do their job at this point. These are really great. Oh, and in my opinion, it makes no sense to buy the mini one if you don't have the big one, because this has a brush, and if you don't have this brush, then you are not going to be able to like lift the hairs, draw in, blend a little. That's not going to be possible. So don't just go out and buy the mini one unless you have this kind of brush already. Usually use the pencil and then eyebrow mascara to give them a bit more dimension, to make them a bit more intense and a bit fuller, I guess, and also a bit darker, because I do like them to be a bit darker. With these, we successfully put a pause, I think, to me trying out new eyebrow products. So the eyebrow product journey is kind of stopping with them, because right now I'm not necessarily interested in trying out other products. I haven't seen exciting eyebrow products being released ever at this point. My experience and why most of these were bad for me and why I didn't know how to use most of them. Do let me know down in which was the best eyebrow product you've ever tried, the worst eyebrow product you've ever tried, and what is your holy grail right now, or a product that you wish to try. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you fairies next time. Bye!